This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Kicking off hour 2 here on Money Moves, VSiN, the sports betting network, Sirius XM channel 158. The man that waved to my left, Jonathan Von Tobel. Stormy Buonantony with you live as always in downtown Las Vegas. Remember, if you missed any of the first hour of the show, you can always listen to Money Moves wherever you get your podcasts. Listen on your own time. Big hour still to come here. We'll break down the evening portion of the Major League Baseball slate. We've got a handful of games in action right now. We'll also talk lots of fantasy this hour because Bill Enright is going to join us talking all things National Fantasy Football Draft Day. Circa, over the course of the next couple days, going to have a ton of celebs out here that are drafting as a part of this draft day. Adrian Peterson's going to be in the house. Earl Thomas, Jeff Garcia.
None of them celebrities.
As well as some of our good friends,
in
too.
comparison to Kendall Valenzuela, who might be with us here tomorrow, of course.
Kendall Valenzuela, Jen Piacenti as well.
Yep.
Brad Evans, good friend of the network here. So lots of cool betting and fantasy and sports people that are going to be in the house this week.
Those other people are fine, but Kendall was with us every day last year, or every week last year, right?
Well, Jennifer was a regular with us for a while on Money Moves, too, pre-JVT era.
Okay, so that means nothing to me.
Wow. I'll make sure to tell her you said that. She means nothing to you.
Tell her to her face.
But this is also that
it's an aggressive way to start.
Of the show.
You mean nothing.
This is also that time of the show where we continue our NFL training camp tour. Let's get to it.
Join Stormy and JVT as they go on the Money Moves NFL training camp tour.
All right. Today, we are headed to the Star in Frisco. The Dallas Cowboys. Last year, the Cowboys missed the playoffs for the second straight season, but high hopes to not only get back to the postseason this year, but potentially go the farthest they have in the postseason since that 1995 season. If you remember, Dak Prescott was wearing the Super Bowl shirt the first day of camp.
I thought you were asking if I remember the 95 season. I was like, I was 4, so no.
No, that's not where I was going with that.
Okay.
But he was wearing the vintage T-shirt. He was asked about it. He said he loves having those types of expectations. He's excited for the potential of what this team can be. And I'm just going to throw this out there, JVT. I want to let people know, before I say this, no, you are not mistaken. You are listening to VSiN. This is not Get Up on ESPN or First Take, but there's a lot of love that's about to come out for the Dallas Cowboys in the next 10 minutes because both of us are pretty big Cowboys fans this year.
Funny.
Funny.
I really do like this Cowboys team a lot. I think look, there's certain teams where you kind of go in and you know exactly what the strengths are going to be, and I don't think we need to spend much time on this offense. This should be one of the best offenses in the NFL this coming year. They were one of them last year, and they returned pretty much everything. They were 5th in expected points added per play a season ago. Success rate, they were 6th, so they were efficient. They were explosive. They did everything you needed. I think we're past the point of questioning, we should be at least, if you have half a brain, of questioning Dak Prescott as a starting quarterback in the National Football League. What are we, 3 years removed now? 2 years removed from him finishing second in an MVP race. We know how good he can be. I think, oddly enough, Schottenheimer has kind of proven to be a pretty good coach, at least from a play calling standpoint. They were at one point one of the best teams in the NFL. If you looked at expected points added per play on scripted drives, your first 20 plays, they were very, very good. So they're in good hands to start these games. I don't think there's really any question that Dallas has on this roster an offense that can go toe-to-toe with any team in the National Football League, and I don't think that's hyperbolic.
They're battling to be the best offense in the entire league this year. Mm-hmm. That is what the expectation is. So we know that side of the ball is going to be good. The big question that you and I and most everybody else has is, what is this defense going to look like? But because we know the offense is going to be so good, you just have to not be the literal worst anymore, which you have been over the last 2 seasons. Dallas ranked last in points allowed per game, last in yards allowed per game, last in yards allowed per play, last in opponent total QBR, and yards per pass allowed. Mm-hmm. So it has not been good, yet they have made significant wholesale changes across this defense, starting with the coordinator, Christian Parker, but you bring in Rashawn Gary from Green Bay. Quinnen Williams is paid now, so he's happy. Draft Caleb Downs, who is getting absolutely rave reviews at this point from what we've seen in camp from him. Malachi Lawrence as well, good feedback. D. Winters from San Francisco, and he still got Kenny Clark last year as a part of that trade with Micah Parsons. Then you add Von Miller, who, no, he's not going to be that significant, but still somebody who had 7.5 sacks last year and in key moments could be a key piece for you.
Yeah, to me, I don't really care too much about Von Miller. It's just everything else that you've mentioned here, the investments from a free agency and from a trade, acquisition, and draft standpoint in what they've done. Adding Caleb Downs, who it sounds like he's going to play a little bit more nickel, so that's going to help you out there in that regard. Safeties are in a pretty good spot. Investing a first-round pick on the edge in Malachi Lawrence, as you said, this team should be just better in almost every aspect. Now, I think they're a relatively weak linebacker room still, so there's probably going to be that aspect of it. That
and Jerry Jones did say, too, defensively, like he's still hoping that maybe they can add. So not to say that they're even done yet with what they've done.
But I think you hit it on the head. If we're correct in assuming that this is, and I think we are, one of the best offenses, and potentially could be the best offense in the National Football League, which is not a stretch to say that they could be, you don't need a top 10. You don't need the Texans defense. You need a defense that is going to be adequate, that's going to be competent, that's going to creep closer to 16 than it is to 32. And I think that you can do that with some of the investments. And, I'm going to be curious to see how they play the run and what that's going to look like. Because, again, I just don't really like the linebacker room as a whole. But you should be able to rush the passer. You should still have safeties that limit explosive plays. It was a little bit of a problem for them last year. You mentioned all the categories in which they finished last. They were last by a mile and expected points added per play by opponents. They had a tendency to give up some explosive plays. We saw it a ton last year as well. But I think the investments are going to pay off. I don't think they're going to be the best. I think that they're going to be a team that is creeping back toward that average, and I think that's a really good thing for you here. And I wanted to note one last thing, because you mentioned another important aspect here too, is the change at defensive coordinator, which I think is a pretty big deal. Christian Parker comes from, I think, that Vic Fangio type system, comes from Philadelphia. That's a system that has proven to be pretty sticky and pretty solid. And so if he can replicate some of those qualities in this defense, you're going to be in a pretty good spot, man.
The Cowboys, I will say, do have a more difficult schedule on paper, fifth most difficult in the league. The win total sitting at 9.5, though. I do like that you're getting even money on the over. If you expect them to be as good as we think they are and have a double-digit win season, the price for them in the division at plus 215, I think, is worthwhile. John Jastrzemski, when you were out, he and I were hosting together, and he right away called out that he likes the Cowboys to win this division. And it took me a little bit more time to buy in on what the defense could be, because we just haven't seen it yet. But after looking into some of the numbers and the research I've done now, I'm like, no, I'm sold. Like this is going to be even a better than average defense based on how I'm projecting things right now.
Yeah, I think everything that we're looking at for Dallas, it's going to be interesting is, will they be bit by their schedule? We talk a lot about these strength of schedules and their impact on things. They do have a difficult schedule. By opponent win totals this year, they're floating around 28th in the NFL. That is the, I believe, fifth hardest schedule in the National Football League, right?
That's what I said, yeah.
Is it? Oh, sorry. I didn't even listen to you at all. But either way, I think that when you look at this, where do they get bit is probably some of these opponents, right?
Yes.
The way this way it breaks down, I think at the beginning of the year, you could probably rip off a couple of wins, but after that, the Rio game, I think, offers some interesting things just because you have the weird spot of being on a neutral field. But after that, I mean, there's some slip-ups potentially. But what if we're right, or what if I'm right? I don't know how you feel about them. Like at the Packers, what if they are a little bit worse off, right? What if the Buccaneers aren't really that great? You can get off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, like we've talked about, I'm not particular. I know I wasn't here for your full Green Bay breakdown, but I'm not high on Green Bay at all. So okay. I haven't been for the last few years though, and that's it's been hit or miss on a week-to-week basis when I've been looking at Green Bay. But overall, I feel like my assessment has been generally pretty right on that team, and I'm just going to keep rolling with it. Speaking of the schedule, though, week one, they are taking on the Giants, who, depending on who you ask, not the highest of expectations against this year. But Dave Ross, he loves his Cowboys. Here's his breakdown on week one.
Oh, boy.
If you haven't bet the Cowboys, if you like the Cowboys Sunday night against the Giants, that number's at 2.5. Here's what I would advise. It's probably not going to come down. I don't see this coming down to 2 or 1.5, barring any injury that we don't see in the horizon here at camp in the next couple weeks. That's probably going to hit 3s at some point, if not 3.5s. Big numbers there, those hooks, what they mean in the regular season. If you like the Cowboys, I would play that right now at 2.5 on Sunday night, because that's still a key number inside of 3. Not as big a deal here, even if it came down to 2. But Jensen, I don't see that happening. I would think, if anything, by the time we're talking about this football game in about 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about a number that's sitting firmly at 3.
I know you thought that breakdown was going to be even more glowing than it was. I actually thought he tempered down his fandom very, very well. But I agree. I like laying 2.5. I like laying sub a field goal. I know it's on the road in a primetime game week one, but I'm not sold on the Giants like other people are right now.
Yeah, a lot of people think highly of them. I was about to say, did we get to them? We did. They were part of our East Coast swing. No, I think it makes sense. Hey, look, there's already a bunch of 2.5s juiced here at Circa. It's already 3 with a total of 48.5. So I think it would make a lot of sense if you were going to do that.
Anything from an award standpoint?
Come on,
Okay, where are you going?
I mean, first off, I don't know how high you are here, But Dak Prescott MVP immediately sticks out, right?
Yeah, you're getting double digits, 13-1-ish.
Yep, I think that. Again, when these markets pop up, if they do, one of the other things is, again, looking around, because we had these last year. I don't remember if they're going to pop up again. But if we're looking at assistant coach of the year, if this defense turns around, Christian Parker to win assistant coach of the year, could be something definitely worth looking at. Is it going to be a big enough explosion on offense that could either Dak or George Pickens win offensive player of the year? I think, you know what I mean? One of those two. If Dak might be a good consolation prize, like, hey, you're not going to win MVP, so maybe you win Offensive Player of the Year. But I think there's definitely a lot of things. But I think you're definitely tying a ton to this offense, for sure.
Well, if you're thinking about Dak that way, what do you look at the yards? Do you look at the touchdowns? It's for him to have a 4,000-yard season is -110 each way. 27.5 is the touchdowns. You're getting even money on the over. He's had 30+ in 2 of the last 3 seasons. Like, when he stayed healthy the last couple of years, he's hit that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that makes some sense, too. I think I'd rather just be selfish and go for the
big bang for your buck.
Yeah, big bang for your buck stuff. But I think they can. I think the ceiling is the roof for the Dallas Cowboys. I think they can win the division. I think they're going to be really good. And just that, again, to use that term, just creep that defense back toward average, I think is certainly possible.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of us, the 2 of us included, have Dallas winning the division in the NFL betting guide that's out right now. Yeah.
To win the division?
To win the division. Huh. And then, what is that, 6 more have them making the playoffs as well. Dave Ross, guess who?
Super
NFC
Bowl.
champs. NFC champs.
Say.
No.
Yep.
Didn't go that far.
Oh, he's being a realist. Okay, yeah.
Well, do you remember, speaking of the futures draft we did last year, remember he went like...
That was like his first pick.
Yeah,
it was like Dak Prescott to do something, or the Cowboys to do something.
With football season around the corner, though,
Hopefully
of course,
does better today.
We just told you about the NFL betting guide. You got to be a VSiN Pro subscriber to get it, though. Sign up now. Just $9.99 for that first month. You can also join us on a full-time subscription. 50% off there. VSiN.com/subscribe is how you can get involved, and come join us. We'll be right back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Thursday edition of Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, live in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino, alongside Jonathan Von Tobel, Stormy Buonantony with you, and it is a very busy weekend here at Circa. It's Fantasy Draft Central, and to help us break down all the news, everything that's going on this weekend, Bill Enright joins us, founder of the National Fantasy Football Draft Day that's going on, and there are tons of celebs that are going to be around this weekend, tons of fantasy football talk, which is the bread and butter. You love it.
Yeah, this is what this weekend's all about. It's about celebrating fantasy football. We created a national holiday because 65 million people play fantasy football, and it deserves its own holiday, and we're celebrating it here at Circa.
One celebrity will not make an appearance, though, despite numerous invites. Stormy Buonantony, behind the scenes, was invited to multiple events here and turned down every step of the way. You will not be here.
I'm ashamed.
Excuse after excuse after excuse.
Well, no, it's the same excuse.
By the way, I was invited. What did I say? I got one thing to do, and I'll be here, brother.
I'll just tell you all, fine. We'll just pull the curtain back. I'm getting a facial on Friday, okay? Nobody wants to see the monstrosity that my face is going to be that weekend.
I love how I get to bully you.
I didn't plan accordingly, so thank you for that. Really appreciate it.
I'm going to get a hair transplant, and I'm still going to be here. I'm going to fly to Turkey, come back in time with the plugs in, and still be ready for Friday.
Let me bully you for a moment, because this morning we were talking about having you on the show. Sure. I asked Justin, I was like, hey, can you make sure that like you filled out this portion of the rundown?
That's a good joke.
And he goes, make sure you put it.
No, so you're setting it up terribly. She said, can you put it in the rundown? And I said, make sure you don't put it and wrong. Get it?
Because he's never heard that before.
No, I didn't. That's a new one.
Yeah, see, it's funny.
I have several fantasy-related questions,
What
though.
we got?
Number one being, who goes number one? Like, if you have the top pick in your draft this year, who is the go-to guy?
Yeah, there's a big debate between Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. The running back for the Falcons, running back for the Lions. Gibbs is in a phenomenal situation now that David Montgomery is no longer in that Detroit backfield. Robinson's always had that job to himself in Atlanta. If I'm drafting number one, I'm going to go with the surefire offense, the proven team, and that's with the Lions, and that's Jahmyr Gibbs. I think there's too many questions around that Falcons quarterback room. We don't know if Tua's going to start. We don't know when Penix will be healthy. I don't think Bijan will be bad. Certainly worthy of a top 3 pick, but if I had to choose, I would go with Jahmyr.
Yeah, how do you weight offensive skill position players when the distributor has some questions. Like Justin Jefferson has seemingly been resistant to that sort of thing. But when you're debating between players like that, how much weight do you put on the actual quarterback situation? Because he could have multiple quarterbacks. Vikings could have multiple quarterbacks, and I would assume that affects you. But how much do you weigh it?
Sure, you got to put a lot of weight into that because Justin Jefferson, talent-wise, skill position-wise, he's a top 3 wide receiver in the league, just from a pure athleticism standpoint and what he can do on the field. But if he's not having someone deliver him the football, that's not helping your fantasy team. That's not helping the Vikings and Justin Jefferson. We saw it last year when they had a disaster situation with their quarterback room, and J.J. McCarthy just didn't get the ball to Justin Jefferson. And Justin Jefferson frustrated a lot of fantasy players because you took him in the first round. You weren't going to leave him on your bench because he's a stud, and you know you have to play him. But at the same time, he was catching one ball a game for 6 yards. That's not getting it done. So you have to be confident in that quarterback situation for any kind of skill position player in fantasy to make sure that they're going to put up the stats and they have a quarterback that can throw them the football.
So always a controversial guy when we talk about fantasy is Christian McCaffrey because when he's healthy, he's just like a freak of nature from a point standpoint. Yeah. But you never know if he's going to be healthy. You hear the tightness stuff already, but then people asking if that's going to be contract related or is he actually dealing with something. What's your perception of McCaffrey entering this year?
If you have the 5th or 6th pick, I think you have to pull the trigger on McCaffrey because he could be the team, the guy that carries your whole team. We saw it when he plays all 16 games, even if you get 13 games out of him, you will be in the fantasy playoffs because Christian McCaffrey is a cheat code and he could get you 1.5x what any other running back could get you. So if there wasn't an injury concern with him, he would be the consensus number 1 pick every single year. He's that kind of dominant player, that kind of dominant talent. Kyle Shanahan does an excellent job of creating unique ways to get him involved in the offense and make sure he lets his playmakers make plays. So 5th, 6th spot overall, if you have those right in the middle of the first round, I think that's the right time to pull the trigger on Christian McCaffrey.
Who's the top wide receiver this year?
To me, it's Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow's going to be healthy. That Bengals offense is loaded. Their defense has been suspect in the past, which has opened up the passing game on offense, right? Because they're always playing catch-up. Their defense is supposed to be a little bit better this year. We'll see if that actually happens. But I think Jamar Chase has the right quarterback situation, has the right skill set, has the right offense to just dominate in fantasy.
I know from a quarterback standpoint, like you like to have a guy with fantasy that has the dual threat ability.
Sure.
For Jaden Daniels specifically, coming off of the injury and what he's dealing with offensively, like where do you view him in the quarterback ranks for fantasy?
Yeah, I have him at number 7. His rushing ability certainly helps that. I'm a little bit worried about that wide receiver room. Terry McLaurin's on the wrong side of 30. Stephon Diggs is on the wrong side of 30. They don't have a lot of playmakers in that offense where you're looking at like a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson. There's no standout wide receiver. That's not taking anything away from McLaurin or Diggs. It's just that everything is on Daniels to make the plays. So whether it's with his legs or with his arm, I think he can have a very successful season right in that QB7, QB8 range.
All right, I want to unveil one of my hot takes. Stormy poo-pooed me yesterday. Maybe this isn't a hot take. Maybe this isn't a hot take. I don't know. Maybe you're going to be like, he's a first-round pick. You're an idiot. I think Kenneth Walker, I kept bringing up Jamal Charles in his first year with Andy Reid. Reid's got such a rich history of making guys like Walker really good. It's not like Walker wasn't any good, but you've had Brian Westbrook, you've had LaShawn McCoy, you've had Jamal Charles. Why can't Walker be that this year?
Kareem Hunt was another one of those guys that just dominated in that Andy Reid offense. Kenneth Walker, if you look at what he did during his career with the Seahawks, he was never the guy. Yeah. He was never the bell cow. They were always splitting carries with somebody. Lately, it's been Zach Charbonnet. The Chiefs came out and they paid him like he's going to be the guy, like he's going to be that bell cow. And they don't have a lot of competition for touches in that backfield. I think you're right. I wouldn't take him in the first round, maybe the end of the second round. Kenneth Walker could be a guy that you take him in the second round, and he ends up being a top 5 player at his position only because the volume is going to be there.
So, and to expand on that, because the Chiefs, we do our training camp tour, so we're doing like every day a specific team. Sure. One of the things we discussed was, I think on paper, the Chiefs wide receiver room actually doesn't really look that great. So, like, what's the top option there?
Yeah, so, Xavier Worthy he's a little bit of a one-trick pony. Yep. Rashee Rice coming out of jail, still rehabbing that knee, didn't look that good in training camp. He's probably going to be the guy that leads that team in targets. Travis Kelce's a shell of his former self. When you marry a billionaire, maybe you don't have to stay in shape anymore. I'm not sure. I'll let you know when I get there.
Right, yeah.
But to me, it's Rashee Rice is going to be leading that room in targets, receptions, yards, touchdowns. He could be a top 8 wide receiver for sure.
Any position, who's your favorite sleeper going into the year?
It's funny. If you look at all the coverage that A.J. Brown is getting with the New England Patriots, we all saw what Drake May did last year, led the team to losing in the Super Bowl. They made it to the Super Bowl. A.J. Brown's getting a lot of attention out of New England and in the media. But his teammate Romeo Doubs, that was a big signing for them. And if you look at the history of possession receivers in Josh McDaniels' offense, going back to Wes Welker, going back to Julian Edelman, they dominate. And that's what Romeo Doubs can do in that offense. So as much as attention A.J. Brown is getting, and deservedly so, Romeo Doubs, you pick him up in the 10th, 11th, 12th round, and you get great value, big return on investment with him. One
of the big themes, too, this week has been these rookies are all dinged up that are coming into the league, and they're all dealing with something. Of the skill position rookies, is there one at the top of the list that really sticks out?
It's funny. If you're in a rookie draft or in a dynasty draft, you're looking at guys like Carnell Tate and Mekhi Lemon from the Eagles, and I'm just not that excited about this year's rookie class. That might come back to bite me in the butt, but I'm not going after rookies. I typically love to get some young guys that are going out, proving it in the first year in the NFL. This class just doesn't excite me that much. Carnell Tate with the Titans, I don't know what to expect from Cam Moore in year 2. He has a new offensive coordinator. They have some other veterans there with Calvin Ridley competing for targets. You look at Jordan Tyson, already banged up. He might be one that's worth taking a shot at if he, clears up this hamstring situation before we get into week 1. I think he might be someone that could prove to be worth his value.
What about Stormy? As a big 49ers fan, in the betting circles, Deshaun Stribling has been a hot bet in Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yes, certainly after Ricky Pearsall went down. Mike Evans is getting up there in age. They re-signed, I guess they didn't re-sign him, but they kind of signed him again. Yes. Deebo Samuel, they brought him back to the camp. But Stribling's a guy rising up draft boards. Like 2 weeks ago, he was going in the 14th, 15th round. Now, all of a sudden, in some of the high-stakes leagues, you can see him going at the end of round 8.
Yeah, his odds, to your point, for Rookie of the Year were totally cut in half after that first preseason performance. Last couple minutes here, just what can anybody come out there and hang out with you guys during these drafts? So what's the lowdown on what's going on?
Yeah, so draftnation2026.com. That's where you get your tickets, first and foremost. We have drafts going on Friday and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. right here at Circa. We're taking over Stadium Swim. It's a night party, Stormy, so you don't have to worry about the sun. It's a night party, Friday night, 3-hour open bar. There's going to be a lot of NFL players there, a lot of celebrities there. We're bringing in a dunk tank. Probably not good for getting in a dunk tank after a facial either. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a party, and we want people here that love the NFL, that love fantasy football, and like to have a good time.
Sounds awesome. How many leagues are you in, by the way?
This year?
Yeah. Compared to others, is it more or less?
Yeah, so at some point you get into this threshold where you're playing against yourself, where I have Jamar Chase in one league, but I have Jamar Chase going against me in another league. So I try to stay away from that. So I'll do less than 6 this year.
Okay.
But best balls I have 50.
I was about to say I was fully expecting double digits. So 6 kind of shocked me a little bit.
6 is manageable, where I'm not competing against myself, and I can still enjoy it.
Yeah, those Guillotine League, too. They're a ton of fun.
I love those. Yeah. They did a great job.
Bill Enright, everybody. You can follow him on X as well, at Bill Enright. Creating a national holiday for fantasy football. That's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. You hear the music. We got to step aside here real quickly. When we come back, short slate in Major League Baseball coming up this evening, but we've got you covered. Don't go anywhere. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Busy day here on Money Moves as we welcome you back. And of course it's busy right now because we're talking all things college football and NFL with football season right around the corner.
It's right around the corner.
It's also here, as we like to say, on Money Moves specifically. Our college football betting guide is out right now. Do just want to remind you guys, it's free when you have a VSiN Pro subscription. We are previewing all 138 FBS teams, preseason top 50, from our guy Matt Humans. We've got power ratings, proven betting systems, best bets from all of your favorite VSiN personalities as well. And when you get VSiN Pro, that includes not only the college football guide, the NFL betting guide, but all of our guides as those sports come up. I know, JVT, you're going to be doing some hard work with the NBA betting guide. Yes, we'll talk NBA in a moment, even though I don't want to. But we got some news. But again, you can join us. Start today for just $9.99, vsin.com/subscribe. Or you can lock in a full year for 50% off right now, which is pretty sweet.
I have to admit something on the air.
What's that?
And it has to do with one of our colleagues. And I feel bad.
What did you do?
Well, the other day I was traveling. Okay. This was like last week, I think.
You were on assignment.
Yes, I was on assignment. And
that was sarcasm because he was not.
I got Greg Peterson texted me, and I forgot to text Greg back. Greg, if you're watching, I apologize. I never texted you back. Greg texted me, and the text was, "Hey JVT, I'm paraphrasing. I want to have you on so we could talk some Mountain West hoops." And I want to be like, Greg, it's August. I can't, brother. I can't do it. Like, good for Greg. He's done a very good job. He's always on top of these things. But to your point about things being in the offing, which is another way to say around the corner, college basketball is going to be here before you know it. In August, I can tell you about one team, and that's it. In the Mountain West, that's it.
UNLV.
Correct, because I cover them.
The not so running anymore reps.
Well, technically they aren't running. They are a very high rate of transition team. But I understand what you're saying is that they're not very successful. I don't need to do all that.
Just saying.
But I apologize to Greg Peterson. I should probably text him myself and say sorry, but I'm just going to assume that this is enough.
Someone clip this and send it to Greg.
There you go, Justin, please. Thank you very much.
You're apologetic.
Also, please clip Stormy turning down Bill Enright 1,000 times.
I'm having laser beams just beep, 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 beep all over my face.
It was embarrassing. At some point, I was just like, Jesus, just say yes.
I want to go. I would like to go. Oh, my God. He even hit me with the "you sound like a good time." Like, I usually am fun. Okay? This isn't a normal
thing.
And
then your fuddy-duddiness has expanded to your husband, who I invited on a Friday night, and he was just like, yeah, my wife. I mean, yeah.
Well, that's sad because he was trying to be sweet to hang out with me because it's my last weekend at home.
It's all right, because I'm already trying to make plans with him, like one of your first weekends that you're gone. There's a tequila tasting event. Did he show you this?
No.
There's a tequila tasting event here at Circa, and I sent him the picture of the ad, and I said, when Stormy's away, the boys will play.
I swear, I don't know what he does when I'm gone. He has this whole other life. But to your point about not knowing what's going on with other sports and everything, I had this thing in one of the newsletters that I get every morning, breaking down the Philadelphia Flyers. And I was like, I'm not ready. I mean, hockey preseason starts in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
It's happening. It's all coming too quickly for my little brain to compute. All the while, we are still in the thick of it in Major League Baseball with the postseason upon us. So games mean more now than ever. And a really interesting swing result situation happened yesterday. I'm sure you've heard all about it on the network earlier or wherever you're getting some of your sports content from. But what happened in the Orioles game last night with Pete Alonso is pretty insane. What should have been his second home run of the game ends up getting called foul, even though on the replays that we can see with our naked eye showed that it was fair. Where are the robots when you need them? Well, that is a question that not only Pete Alonso himself was asking, but Orioles manager Craig Albertaz said this in addressing the situation.
You definitely never know what they're going to rule, but I was really surprised that it came back stands. I mean, but the first thing is, like, on the dugout iPads, there's ball tracking data with the field that the players see. So it's really tough to have that come back as stands and have that visual in the dugout as well. You know, it's 2026. I think technology is advanced pretty good. You know, there was teams using AI on the iPads. And other sports use ball tracking data for challengeable calls. Don't understand why we don't do it, but it's not why we lost the game. But I think that moment was a big moment, and especially takes a home run from us and Pete as well.
So they were tied.
Start crying.
They were tied at 3 at the time, though. It would have been a go-ahead moment, right? Yankees end up going on to win 5-3. And why I bring this up is talking. I appreciate what he said there. Like, that's not what won or lost us the game. Well, maybe it did. And for an Orioles team that's a game and a half out of that final wild card spot, that is a huge potential moment. Meanwhile, the replay command center for Major League Baseball said, quote, in a statement, after reviewing all the relevant angles, the replay official could not definitively determine the ball left the playing field and failed in foul territory. The call stands and it's a foul ball. But you asked me earlier if I was blonde, and I thought you said blind on accident. Who's more blind than this whole situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends, because there was an angle. I don't know if you saw. Did you see the angle that was passed around on social media of the third base line camera?
No, I haven't seen that one. I saw the replay. There's
this one I'm showing it to you, and you can see the ball here. Now, I don't think this is perfect because
it could still be
correct. Well, also if you hit the
curve,
if you hit the foul pole. Right.
Sure.
So, I'm just saying, don't you view that as in the NFL where we had a kick in the preseason the other day that it looked like it was going to be a miss. I think it was in the Jets game, and it was really high, and they just kind of guesstimated that it would have gone in, and so they just gave it to him, whatever it is, whatever the rule is. My whole point here being is I just would agree in general with the thought of it's 2026 in today's day and age. We say this about the NFL. We still trust old men to spot a ball. They have the eagle eye technology on the spot to see if it has crossed the plane, but you still trust that. I still say, again, in football, humans and I used to say this all the time, like, what's the most random play in sports? To me, it's how often do you watch a punt go out of bounds and those refs just continue to run down the sideline? And you're like, how in the world do you accurately judge where that thing went out of bounds? And you're watching on TV and you're like, stop running. Like, there's no way it's that far out.
Yeah.
Right? There's ways to track these things.
That's a great visual.
Right? Do you know what I'm talking about, right? There's how many times when you're watching, you're like, when is this guy going to stop? So anyway, the whole point is you have the technology. In tennis, you can find out if a molecule of the ball hit outside. Well, we watched in the World Cup a hair decide a goal. Come on.
Which I still hate, I will say. That was awful.
See, but now you can't do that.
That was
You can't do that, though. You can't say you hate it, but then complain about something like this. Because those are the same things.
Because that wasn't real. No.
No, okay, so then where do you draw the line? That's what, you can't complain. It's got to be one or the other. You cannot complain about that.
No. But so here's the thing. I like the idea of getting it right. So I don't like, if your clear eye can see something and you don't need the technology, that's why the VAR intervention was frustrating, because your clear eye is telling you one thing, and then, oh no, there's a pop of a thing that they're claiming to be a hair, which could have just been a technological flummox.
No,
who knows?
not at all.
Anyways, all of this to say, I think in 2026, we should err on the side of getting things right when you can. So this should be a much more simple thing than it is.
Well, I have a really good idea. Don't be 61-65. And 500 at home and stink.
Well, what do they do today? Because Kyle Bradish is going for the Orioles later on this afternoon, 3:35 Pacific time, first pitch, 6:35 Eastern. Garrett Cole on the other side for the Yankees. It's a pick'em game. Orioles -102, Yankees -105, run total 7.5. How do they fare?
Now, I mean, if you believe the market, then there's going to be a better shot that the Yankees can pull this thing off. We saw this, let's say like a $1.21, or excuse me, the Orioles, I misspoke there. Open on the overnight at $1.21. We're down to like -110. I guess I kind of understand that to an extent. You look at Bradish here in the start for the Orioles. Overall, the numbers, 3.65 ERA, 3.87 fielding independent. Not any real big discrepancy that you're trying to chase. And in relatively decent form. Last 3 outings for him, he's given up 2 earned runs or fewer. One of those was the start against Philly that ended after 3 innings back on the 2nd of August. But either way, recent form has been relatively solid. Then I think that you're looking at this and pitching at home for Bradish. I think you can understand why the market would move in that direction, or at the very least, push the Yankees' probability down just a bit to not make them stronger home favorites, or excuse me, road favorites in this spot against Baltimore. But I didn't feel anything like particularly strong about this one.
Okay.
Should note, too, for Cole as well. You talk about good form. He hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs in an outing going back to July 22nd against the Pittsburgh Pirates. 2
more games still to come. We can hit these on the other side of the break as well. Nationals, Rangers, Angels, Astros. We've also got a ton in action right now. Some scores for you. The Cards up 10-0, trying to close it out against the Reds. We'll see if they can. Cincinnati with 2 on right now and 2 outs. The Guardians and Giants. Guards did start to pull away. Good for our boy Jensen Lewis. They're up 5-2 in the top of the 9th. Blue Jays up 5-1 over Tampa Bay. The A's getting shut out right now. Not great. 4-0 in the bottom of 4 where things sit. Brewers just allowed 2 runs by Seattle, but still leading, though, in the middle of 4. 6-4 right now. And then how about the Braves against the White Sox? 1-0 game right now in the bottom of 6. So good trends to the under. We'll see how this goes. Grant Holmes having a great start, though. Hasn't allowed a hit to this point.
I mean, the A's, you got to take advantage, man. They are 1-7 with runners in scoring position today. Dubnik has walked 4 and given up 6 hits, and you have no runs to show for it. That is pathetic.
Okay, we got to step aside here real quickly. Our day is almost done, except for the other 2 hours that we're going to be on a little bit later on the air today. But
Rudy Gobert had a monster dunk for France in this friendly with Serbia.
There was an NBA trade update, whatever. We'll get to that coming up on the other side.
It's a massive move.
We'll also talk through
baby.
the remaining 2 games in Major League Baseball, and of course the 2 preseason games we have coming up tonight. Closing things out strong next.
Big.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
On a serious note, how much caffeine have you had today?
Actually, a lot because I didn't even sleep. So
I can tell.
We're at 600 milligrams of caffeine so far for today.
Right before we came on
I
air,
keep track of my caffeine.
you
like some of you animals.
you hit double time on the finger guns.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot.
It was.
I don't know how to unpack this right now. I feel uncomfortable.
Why?
Not allowed to brandish a weapon when you celebrate.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm probably just going to crash by the time we get to the draft, so we'll see.
Oh, speaking of caffeine, I bought an espresso machine. It's supposed to be delivered today. I'm very excited.
Well, as somebody who has no other training in media whatsoever and was discovered at a Starbucks by Bill Enright and hired straight from the Starbucks, as it is well known, I can help you with that. Because baristaing is the only skill that I have. I have no other education in anything else.
No other skills.
Yeah.
What are you best at making? Did you have like something you were known for?
I mean, I was just the best barista. I was just very good, very efficient.
And so humble as well.
So there was really no question about it. We can talk about the two people that quit because I was so good that I kicked them out of the Starbucks, but that was fine. I'm a hard ass, dude. If you're not going to work?
Did they try to return their drink or something?
No, I'm talking about like fellow employees were so terrible at their jobs, they told them to get out, and it's just how it rolls.
Maybe they just didn't want to deal with being berated by their colleague.
Don't suck.
Who was not in a managerial position.
I was actually to an extent.
I
have a lot of funny stories about that. I'll tell you another funny story. Anyway, I always liked making a good dry cappuccino.
Okay.
Do you know what that means?
I do not know what makes it dry, no.
Okay, so the level of moisture, but a dry cappuccino is almost entirely foam. The drier it is, the more foam it is. Cappuccinos are already mostly foam to begin with, but some cappuccinos, if you like them wet or a little bit closer to a latte, again, they're going to be mostly foam, but dry cappuccinos are quite literally, like you'll hand the cup over, it'll feel like it's empty because it's mostly foam, and the whole concept, of course, is, espresso passes through the foam as you drink it, light on the milk, and et cetera. But
I like heavy on the milk, big latte gal.
But it's because it takes a pretty decent, a deft hand, if you will, to make a good, as they say, bone dry cappuccino, which I find ironic because my bones are wet because they're in my body covered in meat. But either way, a dry cappuccino, I think, was the best one.
I'm just excited to finally use my martini shaker set for two reasons, because I don't drink like standard martinis, but I can make espresso martinis at home now, and I can also utilize that shaker to make an at-home brown sugar oat milk shake and espresso. We'll see how it goes. I'm not sure yet, but very excited to embark on this endeavor.
We have a couple of things that I wanted to hit, unless
we
you
have several. No, I was just going to say, I wanted to give you the floor for this Cavs Nuggets Clippers situation that happened overnight.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we have a couple of things. Yeah, we can hit those, and we'll hit the tweets and stuff a little bit later. So first off, we get a big trade here. I know that you are poo-pooing this, but this actually is somewhat of a big deal. The Cavaliers, Nuggets, and Clippers, along with a couple of other teams, have agreed to a multi-team deal, which will send Peyton Watson to the Cleveland Cavaliers. So now in its totality, Watson, who had been an a restricted free agent, there was all sorts of, where's he going to go, what's going to happen here, and was a very big piece. Watson is a really solid up-and-coming player who, trajectory-wise, looks like he's going to be one of the better wings in the NBA. So the Cavaliers get Peyton Watson, and they get Cam Whitmore from the Wizards as part of this big team deal. Nuggets are going to get a 2031 Cavaliers first-round pick and a 2032 Kings second-round pick. Max Strus then gets flipped to the Los Angeles Clippers. Clippers are one of those second-round picks that get moved. And then Trey Mann heads to the Wizards. 2027 second goes there. So the big pieces that you need to know is Peyton Watson is now a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Max Strus is a member of the Los Angeles Clippers.
Are you excited to have the toaster streusel on your team, on your squad?
That's insulting. The real nickname is the Struscow. You did not know what the Hooskow meant, which is absolutely insanity.
I've never heard that word in my life.
Because when you are defended by Max Strus, you're in the Hooskow. You ain't going anywhere, okay? So it's the Struscow. Thank you very much.
Still don't understand it, but okay.
So, look, I think
that can't be a good nickname if it's too esoteric.
If you're a lockdown defender, you're in the Struscow. It's pretty easy to...
I still don't know what a Hooskow is.
It's a jail. It's a prison.
Oh, well, you didn't say that still.
I quite literally said it, but that's okay. I didn't listen to you.
I didn't listen.
I didn't listen to you earlier either. I think the Clippers thing
We're a great show.
I think Paul could give us a run for the money in terms of listening to Mitch. I think that the Strus thing is kind of like a throwaway, like, we'll see, whatever. He's an older player. Maybe he gets flipped. I don't know what's going to happen. I have to look. That's on me, what his contract status is. I think the big thing here is for the Cleveland Cavaliers, who made a run to the Eastern Conference Finals, who, by the way, then subsequently signed James Harden to his extension, because that was what we were waiting on,
Final year of his contract.
Yeah. Strus? Okay, so perfect. Quick aside on that. Expiring contract, youngish team, kind of rebuilding. I'm assuming he's going to get flipped maybe at the deadline. We'll see. A shooter like Strus has some value. So if the Clippers are not really in the playoff mix, whatever, you can get something for Strus once the deadline comes around, if that's going to be the case. But as far as the Cavaliers are concerned, one of the biggest complaints about the Cleveland Cavaliers, I would say, over the last few years has been their lack of adequate size along the wing, right? And they've tried to fill this out in many different ways, but it hasn't really worked. They've had Isaac Okoro, who's a non-factor in terms of shooting. They've tried different things. It just hasn't really worked out. Peyton Watson now can fill that role really well. 6'8", 200 pounds. He's enough of a shooter. Last year shooting 41%, for his career shooting 36%. That he's going to be a legitimate threat. One would assume that maybe he's even going to be better with the spacing that guys like Harden and Donovan Mitchell provide. And not a bad defender either, so he fits with what they want to do with their starting five. I think it's a pretty good move, and it doesn't cost you really that much. So I really like this for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think it's a low-key, sexy move that is lost in all of the noise around, obviously, Major League Baseball, but the NFL preseason. We're getting ready for college football. But I think this is an impactful move and a good one for the Cleveland Cavaliers for sure.
Okay, pushing it ahead. I don't have any bets today. You want to go through your recap real quick and push it forward to what you've got in the account today added?
True split here. Lost one, won one, and made it back. So nothing really lost or gained here. Blue Jays, how about that? Max Scherzer trust did not go particularly well. Blue Jays did their thing offensively, but didn't get enough. Scherzer got shelled a bit yesterday. So first 5 run line plus a half did not get there. Dodgers run line gets there in extras -1.5 at -130. So we persevere. We move on. Today, one bet. It's in college football. I'll take the chance. Let me double check. Let me pull up our spreadsheet. I think I've got 3 dogs so far, and we're waiting to see what the fourth one is going to be if that number in that Hawaii game continues to move. But going to add it. I was going to say Hawaii. North Carolina plus 7.5.
Wow, you doing okay up there?
I'm not. Well, we have North Dakota on the list as well, so that's why I was a little lost. But North Carolina plus a 7.5. We talked about the news with the roster for TCU, potentially down 2 starters. I don't think this is going to get to 7. We'll see. I don't think it's going to get to 8.5 anymore. I think we're going to be pretty stuck here. And if it does move in one direction, I think I'm going to be the one that's the beneficiary. So, again, I don't think it's going to get under 7, but I'll take my chance. North Carolina plus 7.5 in Dublin at Aviva Stadium? Sure.
I don't know.
Well, it says it right there. I was just wondering if that's a pronunciation, because you know how these people are. Aluminium and things like that. So it might be something stupid.
Hit me with your best tweet. You said you had something.
So there's a couple of things. We have our futures draft coming up. For those who are interested, coming up in an hour and 10 minutes or so. We'll start this NFL futures draft. You have the
second overall pick. Patrick Maher, the reigning champ, number 1.
The reigning champ, and also not listening and making double picks in last year's future draft. I'm just going to say that. Would I be willing to bet, says Paul Nelson, that Stormy finishes top 6? And what is Stormy willing to bet if she finishes 8-13? 7 would be a push.
Why is it always on me?
I don't know. I'm not the one that brought this up.
Can we please give JVT some odds as well for what his finishing position would be?
I think I finished.
We can discuss this tomorrow.
Second to last year. Adam Burke did write a column recapping it. I just texted Adam to find out because I know some loser was asking about the results from last year. So I got to send that over to him. But Adam wrote multiple articles, both a halfway point.
Were you the loser that was asking?
And, yes, I was.
Okay.
And a recap of last year too. But I know I did not do well. I know I finished somewhere in 7th or 8th.
I was.
Why are you flexing?
I had an itch. I was feeling myself because if Jonathan Taylor would have finished with the most rushing yards, which he was on trajectory for a good chunk of the season, I was going to be number 1. Yep. And then it fell apart.
Let's see. Derek checks in, says Dallas, because we had the Dallas Cowboys today. By the way, training camp tour. Go to the VSiN Watch app. We have every single one of our teams in a nice little thing for you that you can go and watch. Derek says
Houston tomorrow, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
I thought it was going to be the Broncos, which I apologize on that. We're doing them on Monday.
If you remember correctly, I just did the promo read. So, of course you remember correctly. I said it 2 minutes ago.
Again, wasn't listening.
Derek says
I told you I was going to do it to you.
I'm going to get to Derek's tweet eventually. Derek says Dallas can't win a playoff game, much like New Mexico. Takes a shot at you. Very much appreciate that. And that's it.
So that's why you wanted to read that. Yeah. That makes more sense.
Yeah. Also, Dub Sports Wins says, hilarious. Paulie listening to Mitch. So funny. I think so.
Is that a real tweet you got?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, you're going to have a full hour
What's
and
the success
more
rate on that, Luke?
of that coming up. So you're going to have your normal Follow the Money show for the next hour before our futures draft begins. The two of us are going to migrate over to Bar Canada. Who else is with us over there?
Look at this draft order. Maher, Stormy, Paulie, Gil, Jensen, top 5. It'll be you, myself, Matt Humans, and Tim Murray.
Okay, good squad. Got a dream team over there.
Pretty relatively above average heights between the four of us.
Yeah, that'll be good.
So I
Maybe-
contend
wonder if
that we
was
should do
planned.
a hockey stick shot.
Although, for us sitting at the desk, I am short torso gang, so that might look a little bit strange. On that note, you hear the music. That's a wrap for us today. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. We'll see you in an hour. Follow the money. Coming up after this, Mitch and Paul sitting in these seats. I've been keeping it warm. Have a great
Keyshawn
day.
Johnson.
We'll be back
Dustin.
tomorrow. Same time, same place for Money Moves. Don't miss it. Goodbye. Take us off the camera.